Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons, and Pius Group of Institution, Guwahati.
Hello and welcome to Northeast Tonight, the show that decodes the region. First, the top of the day at this hour, the headlines. Nagaland's apex tribal body Naga Hoho slams nephew Rio-led state government for poor COVID handling. COVID situation in Assam's Hojai district alarming. Assam Health Minister says 300 tests positive out of 6,000 returnees, warns people. And floods wreak havoc in Meghalaya's Garo Hills. Situation serious, says Chief Minister Conrad Sangma. Okay, now to today's debate. It is actually a tragedy, viewers, beyond comprehension. A pregnant wild elephant strays into a village close to the Silent Valley National Park in Kerala's Palakkad area last week and is suspected to have eaten something with firecrackers stuffed in it. The firecrackers, possibly stuffed in a pineapple, explodes in the elephant's mouth. The pachyderm walked for days in agony before it went into a river and died standing. Villagers in Kerala and elsewhere in the area are often accused of using firecrackers or explosives stuffed in food, usually fruit or animal fat, to protect their fields from wild animals like boar. The tragic incident has brought the focus back to the northeast, particularly Assam, where man-elephant conflict is now legend. Scores of wild Asiatic elephants coming out of their destroyed habitat and feasting on crops in human habitations, and hundreds of villagers emerging from their homes to chase the elephant herds away with whatever they can lay their hands on is a common sight across Assam. That matter of concern is that the authorities do not seem to have any workable plan whatsoever to deal with the increasing man-elephant conflict. Dealing with the problem as a routine matter could cost us heavy, because someday we could, God forbid, have a similar story to tell like the one in Kerala. This is what we do not want. To discuss the problem and the road ahead in resolving it, I will be joined from New Delhi by Dr. Sasi Tharoor, top Congress leader and MP from Kerala. From New Delhi, I am joined also by Ms. Sonal Mansingh, Bharatanatyam exponent and an MP. Joining me from Guwahati is iconic singer, composer and opinion maker Zubeen Garg. From the city of Perth in Australia, I will be joined by Mr. Chittaranjan Pathak, who has authored a book titled The Elephant Girl, a fascinating story of a mythical maiden riding a wild elephant in the jungles of northeast India. Mr. Ranjit Thakur, founder of the Balipara Foundation, leading Assam-based environmental group, will be joining me from Mumbai. At the studios with me is Dr. Bibhav Kumar Talukdar, CEO of Aranyak, a well-known conservation group, and from Balipara near Teshpur, I am joined by Saurabh Malhotra, who is a co-founder and designer with Balipara Foundation's Elephant Country project. All right, viewers, I'll go straight to New Delhi, from where I have Dr. Sasi Tharoor, Congress MP and one of India's most articulate political leaders. Dr. Sasi Tharoor, welcome to Northeast Tonight. Dr. Tharoor, the horrific manner in which the pregnant wild elephant was killed in Kerala last week has come as a shocker. Now, what is the broad picture? What does it reflect on our society, polity, and governance, Dr. Tharoor?
Well, the broad picture is that unfortunately there is a lot of, shall we say, conflict between humans and animals, The poor pregnant elephant, no one was trying to target her. I think we've got to the bottom of this. There were, in this district called Palakkad, which is kind of the rice granary of Kerala, there was a serious problem of wild boar that were eating crops. So apparently, in order to trap the wild boar, we actually had a number of farmers doing something that is totally illegal. They should never have done it. But that illegality consisted of laying traps to seriously injure and even kill the wild boar. And that was obviously particularly nasty, that the way they did it was to get this pineapple, stuff it with live firecrackers, and the idea being that when the animal eats it, it would explode and kill the animal. Unfortunately, instead of a boar, which would have been killed immediately by such a device, it was eaten instead by a hungry, pregnant elephant. And that's terrible. But at least we know it was not intentionally meant to kill the elephant. But I'm a bit disappointed when you ask the broader question of how society has reacted. While everybody reacted with shock and horror and sympathy to the death of this poor, unfortunate animal, there were some who chose to communalize the incident in a very unfortunate way. They said it happened in Kerala's Muslim majority district of Malappuram, which is not true. It happened in a district called Palakkad, which is actually Hindu majority. There is no communal connection, absolutely none whatsoever to the incident.
Okay. Now, Dr. Tharoor, you see, these are not issues which should be politicized. Nobody is politicizing this, I'm sure. Now, do you think, therefore, I'm asking you a broad question, actually, as a leading political leader of this country. Do you think India as a nation needs to also prioritize some of its focus to issues like wildlife conservation, climate and environment in a really serious matter, and not indulge in tokenism? Now, 70 years or more after independence, these are issues, I think these are top issues the country is facing today.
Yes, well, look, I have absolutely no doubt about that we really have an extraordinary bounty from Mother Nature of wildlife. I mean, we are one of the very few countries in the world where both tigers and lions can be found, where elephants are there in the thousands, at least a few thousand, the rhino. I mean, you name some of the more interesting wildlife species of Southern Asia, and we have them all. And it's criminal to neglect them and allow them to be lost. Of course, it means we need to make arrangements so that animals and humans don't encroach on each other's space. That's what was tried to be done with Project Tiger, for example. And we need to do that more and more with every other animal we want to preserve. But elephants have been able to mingle. They're very gentle creatures. They have mingled with human society in Kerala since time immemorial. They just need to be treated better. And the wild, many of them, of course, are in captivity or tamed. The wild ones must be given space to be able to roam, to be able to eat, to be able to survive.
Now, Dr. Tharoor, we in the Northeast are taking up this issue because our region has around 10,000 or more Asiatic wild elephants, and they crisscross the India, Bhutan, Myanmar region. Now, my question to you, do you think a regional approach work, or do you think the solution lies in regenerating forests and perhaps sensitizing the people a lot more?
Well, I'm in favor of both, actually. You do need to regenerate forests and you do need to sensitize people. And in a few cases, you need to relocate people because obviously if there is an incident in which a wild animal hurts or harms or even kills a human being, the result is going to be that the public opinion will be outraged and everyone will want to go after the animal. And the animal will be called a man-eater or a destructive creature or whatever. So in some cases, you need to relocate people away from the areas you're reserving for animals. But you certainly need to give the animals a space to roam. That's their natural way of living. It is we who have encroached on their space. But equally, your idea of a regional approach that goes beyond one country's borders makes sense. For Assam, for example, there's a lot to be said for a larger sense. You know, we have this BBIN organization, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal. where indeed this organization has been focusing on things like connectivity, road traffic, and so on, but perhaps could do something on wildlife. Because if we could have a common wildlife conservation and management policy that would enable animals to cross borders that human beings can't so easily cross without passports and visas, maybe we would be able to find a more creative kind of solution to the problems you're talking about.
All right. Now, you see, I will let you go because you have an engagement. Dr. Tharoor, why, in your view, are some people prepared to ignore the fact that elephants have been such an integral part of India's social, cultural, and religious life and be so cruel towards them? Is it pure issues related to survival?
No, I don't think this was deliberate cruelty. There is some deliberate cruelty. I was reading a horrifying article about how some of the captive elephants are treated by people, even temple elephants and elephants who are put on display or rented out for weddings and so on. One would imagine them being treated well and pampered because we see them all gaily dressed up and looking very splendid in their pomp. But the truth is that many of them are apparently very badly treated, shackled, not given water, not given food, transported in the heat on top of flatbed trucks. There are a lot of sad stories one hears. And that's on captive elephants. And as for elephants in the wild, unfortunately, we still have everywhere in the country some poachers. The ending of the legal ivory trade helped a lot. Because when it was legal to trade ivory, elephants were killed for their tusks. Now it's so difficult and completely illegal to trade ivory that fewer people are doing that, but some poaching still goes on. And I must say that if we were able to plow some of the tourist rupees that elephants bring into our society and give it back for elephant welfare, we would be doing a little more justice to these poor but also magnificent creatures. So I would love to see much more consciousness that elephants deserve our support, our finances, our blessings, and our care.
Absolutely. We'd love to see that. We'd love to see tourist money being plowed back for the welfare of elephants, not just in the Northeast, but perhaps everywhere else in the country. Dr. Sasi Tharoor, thank you very much indeed for speaking to me on Northeast Tonight.
Thank you, Wasbir. All the best.
Thank you. All right, we shall go straight to the debate, but very quickly before that, let's take a look at what some prominent personalities have said about the Kerala elephant killing. First, let us go to what India's Union Environment and Forest Minister Prakash Javadekar had said. He has said that the central government has taken a very serious note of the killing of an elephant in Mallapuram in Kerala. We will not leave any stone unturned to investigate properly and nab the culprits. That's what Prakash Javadekar, the Union Minister for Environment and Forest, had said following the killing. All right, Ratan Tata, iconic industrialist of this country, has also tweeted, he has also come out heavily against the incident, and he has said, and I quote, "Such criminal acts against innocent animals are no different than acts of meditated murder against other human beings." That is what Ratan Tata has said. Now, the captain of the Indian team, Virat Kohli, he has said that, and I quote, "Appalled to hear about what happened in Kerala. Let's treat our animals with love and bring an end to these cowardly acts." Okay, let's begin the debate. I'd like to go straight. I've got a very eminent panel today. Let's go to iconic dancers and Rajya Sabha MP Sonal Man Singh. Joining me from New Delhi, a Bharatanatyam exponent. Sonal Man Singh ji, welcome to Northeast Tonight. Pleasure having you on the show. My first question to you, what thoughts, Sonal ji, crossed your mind when you first heard the story of some people, attacking the wild elephant in Kerala with a bomb-laden fruit?
uh, words fail me, horrendous, criminal, the cruelest thing humans can do, they do to each other during war and other times, but I think the cruelty has crossed all limits. But then let us go back to why this happened, that the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam idea, that Earth is one big family and everything that exists on Earth is included in that family. Man has begun to think that whatever is on the earth is for him and him alone, for his use, misuse, disuse, and exploitation. This kind of incorrect philosophy, which has now taken root, is causing so much trouble, and man is very confused. He is confused whether these four-legged animals and the flying birds and the trees should at all be participating in the land and space given to me on earth. That is what the man is now beginning to think. That why are all these things here? They are eating up my space. They are eating up my resources, rather than the other way around. So I think the mind has become, adulteration has taken our minds, सड़ गया है हमारी सोच, सड़ गई है.
सड़ गया है हमारा सोच. That is what Sonal Mansingh ji has said. People, according to Sonal Mansingh, is saying that the people have started thinking as if the whole universe belongs only and only to them and not to anyone else. Zubeen Garg, welcome. Zubeen, we get disturbed with human misery at this point in time. We are having a very miserable situation around us, not just in India, but around the whole world because of this pandemic. We get disturbed at human misery, but what are your first reaction when you heard about this whole sad story, horrific story of that elephant, dying because of a bomb exploded in its mouth, on its mouth? What do you have to say, Zubeen?
Well, it's a really very sad and horrific accident. I will call it accident because I don't know why they put the explosive in the pineapple. For the first time I'm hearing it. But we should be careful, more careful about the elephants because elephants, usually they always search for food. And from forests, they travel to human habitants because of food. So for the first time I've heard this kind of accident, and it might have happened in Assam also because we have a lot of elephants here in all the wildlife sanctuaries we have, and a lot of accidents happen every year. We get it.
Now, Zubeen, do you get very worried when you look at the deadly man-elephant battle in Assam? If elephants are attacking human homes and croplands, it is because humans have attacked the households or the habitat of elephants.
Yes, deforestation is going on everywhere. Every year we hear about it, and we are trying our level best, me, my fan club, and all my friends and all. But I think the government should be more careful about it and take a more bigger step for the protection of the wildlife, for the protection of the trees, for the protection of the elephants or rhinos, or even rhinos are getting killed every year. And we people are with them, with the government. They will help, I think, if we go forward and take a bigger step.
Absolutely. Zubeen, I'm coming back to you, but Dr. Bibhav Talukdar, Bibhav Talukdar is the CEO of Aranyak, one of the leading wildlife conservation groups in the Northeast. Bibhav, how do you see this incidents unfolding? Our focus of our discussion is not the Kerala incident, which is absolutely condemnable, absolutely tragic and horrific, as all of our panelists have so far said. But what thoughts cross your mind when you think that, do you think that a similar situation can happen anywhere, anytime in Assam if we just keep quiet and do nothing?
Well, I think the Kerala incident is very unfortunate. If it was a deliberate attempt to kill elephants, was even more unfortunate. But if it was an accidental, means...
That is what Dr. Tharoor has said.
Yeah. Then also I think, take home message, it may also, go in a different way.
Right.
And Assam, as we have already witnessed, the human-elephant conflict over the years has increased. Even you have been, putting the figure about 900, death of human beings. So as an average, we have seen, especially in the last 3 years, 90 human beings are being killed because of this human-elephant so-called conflict, and about 60 elephants are being killed also in the same way. So the number of human death and and the elephant deaths are quite worrying. So increasing the ex gratia or compensation is not the solution. I think the motto or aim should be decrease the death of humans and elephants, and that is where we should all work for.
All right, let me go to Saurabh Malhotra in Balipara. He is the co-founder and designer of the Balipara Foundation, a leading conservation group. Saurabh Malhotra, welcome. Saurabh, how do you view this man-elephant conflict? It appears as if everybody is treating it as a routine matter. Every day, if you watch the channels in Guwahati or channels from the northeast, you find elephant herds outside their habitat in cities and towns and villages, and you see hundreds of villagers trying to chase them away. Look at the visuals on the screen. So that is the scene. So everybody seems to be treating it as a routine affair. Where are we heading?
Yeah. Hi, Zubin. Thanks a lot. So I think just to put everything into a bit of context, so humans started off as forest foragers. We only started agriculture about 7,000 years ago, right? And from then on, agricultural land went on. We cleared more forests to make way for more agricultural land. Agricultural land gave way to rural settlements, which gave way to urban settlements. So in this whole trajectory of our lifetimes, which is about 7,000 years since agriculture, the only land use form that has gone down is a forest. So how can we be surprised by the fact that conflict is increasing? And it will continue to happen unless we take strict measures, unless we change our economic system. And I think what has happened in Kerala puts everything into fantastic light. It is great to see sympathy from everywhere, but if we really get to the bottom of the cause in Kerala, we suffer from the same problems here in Assam. So the elephant was brutally murdered, but if we really want to talk about the brutally murdered elephant, we must also talk about why that happened. So the wild boar was killed to prevent boar infestation of a poor farmer's farmland.
Yeah.
So the farmer was pretty much doing it just to prevent his bottom line livelihood from being hit. So killing a wild boar is illegal, killing an elephant is illegal as well. But the root of the problem is that our farmers are so borderline to poverty that there is no way out, and that if they lose their crops, they don't have a source of livelihood. So that really is the root problem.
I think that's a very important point which Saurav is making. Bibhav, very quick, I'll go to Sonal Mansingh ji once again, but before that, Bibhav Talukdar, he says that our farmers are so poor, our farmers are so basic and bottom line that their entire survival depends on their crops in their cropland, in their small croplands. So if that is being ravaged or rampaged by the animals, I think that livelihood is absolutely destroyed. So what does the farmer do? He's in a catch-22 situation. Bibhav.
Yeah, I think this repeated damage caused to the villages definitely creates problem, and it also increases the animosity. So that is where I think government should have some mechanism like compensating crops with additional crops that may reduce to some extent, and that process has to be very faster. And especially government should focus on the areas when an elephant comes out from the forest and does the damage in the civil areas. So some of the villages can also be fenced, so that they actually fencing not to protect the villagers from the elephants. So that kind of I think approach are very much essential. Even when a villager dies because of the human elephant conflict, the compensation or ex gratia mechanism is so lengthy. By the time they get the money, is very, maybe 2 years.
So we have to really bring our focus back to these issues. The government has to really apply their mind and be pro-farmers, pro-rural people. I mean, I think that has the bottom line. Let me go to Sonal Mansingh ji in New Delhi. Sonal Mansingh ji, what does it reflect on us as human beings and our society? Why do such horrific incidents happen in your view? Because one of our panelists, and a young conservationist, he has said that you must first understand why such things happen. Sonal Mansingh ji.
See, the uncontrolled boom of population, number one, on one hand, is totally unchecked and uncontrolled. And therefore, more and more space is being appropriated from the natural habitation of animals. Number two, that agriculture, in the name of agriculture, agricultural land, forests are being cleaned out. Number three, that successive governments have spoken about land reforms on the one hand, on the other hand, environmental protection, ecological balance, and animal rights. I think the laws are there, but they are totally ineffective and inactive.
Absolutely. Laws, implementation of the laws are ineffective. That's what Sonal Mansingh ji, Rajya Sabha MP, is saying. Now, Sonal ji, how do we break free from this catch-22 situation? Humans destroying elephants and other animal habitats, and elephants in turn ravaging croplands and human habitations.
They don't like to come into contact unless they are pushed into it.
Right.
So the corridor, the natural corridors we have destroyed, they have to come into human habitation and fields to fill their stomach and to find their way back to their habitation. I think the catch-22 situation is created by us, not by them. So in the name of pragati, in the name of modernization and more facilities for humans, we have become very inconsiderate. It's not a catch-22 situation. It is a situation that can be improved upon if we also want them to live. If they live, we will also live.
Okay. Now let me turn to Zubin Garg once again. Zubin, I mean, we certainly do not want a Kerala types horrific incident in Assam. But can we prevent such, incidents if we simply watch the man-elephant conflict and do actually nothing about it?
No, we'll have to do something. That's for sure. We'll have to do something, and even we are used to elephants because our lots of villages are there near the wildlife sanctuaries and all. And if you take a very, authentic steps towards the elephants or rhinos, and even the highway road is in the middle of the Kaziranga wildlife sanctuary. So we are used to see wildlife animals, elephants or even birds or rhinoceroses every day. And even the NGOs are trying hard there. I know a lot of NGOs are fighting for these things. So if we come together, get together, and we can fight together, I think.
Now, Saurabh Malhotra, what is your prescription? How do we deal with this problem? I was asking Dr. Shashi Tharoor whether we need a regional approach. Like, elephants from here, it better. Elephants from here crisscross between Northeast India, Bhutan, Myanmar. So do we need a regional approach, or it is important to sensitize the people? Very quickly.
And I think from here, I would actually lead on from what Bibhabda mentioned as well. So immediate compensation and a regional approach, but a regional approach which does not keep in mind national or state boundaries. So we need to customize our models for the areas where we are. So the areas where we work, a lot of our work is happening in the Udalguri and Sonarpur districts, and these forests are contiguous with the forests in Bhutan and with the forests in Arunachal Pradesh. So for proper conservation planning, for habitat restoration planning, governments need to get together and have joint plans for restoration. I think the bottom line is that we need to expand forest cover, and forests don't see state boundaries or political boundaries, and wildlife doesn't either. So we have to come together and do transboundary restoration of our habitat. That's the ultimate goal.
Transboundary restoration. Sonal Mansingh ji, does this again bring into question, bring into the fore the development versus conservation debate, Sonal Mansingh ji?
No, yeah, I don't know why it is a bit agree. It need not be opposed to each other. There can be a balanced way if the desire is to find a way. See, it is we push things together. We push things. We do not make way. It is not well thought out. It is just push, and that never works for anyone. It never works. Let me tell you another thing, firstly, very quickly, that because we have built roads in the mountains and through forests and, and the dams, and so the forest cannot conserve water. There are floods every time now, they're increasing. There are earthquakes that are increasing. Deforestation is taking the soul of human life as well. So I say progress, yes, but at what cost? That is my question. It is not a debate between conservation and progress. Please, do not misunderstand me.
Before I thank you, Sonal Mansingh ji, some people do not seem to be even bothered about the fact that elephants are such an integral part of life, socio-cultural and religious life in India.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I would call them a jnani, a deliberate curtain over their wisdom, because elephant is considered not only Ganesh, Vigna Vinayak, Prathamesh, the first among all the gods to be worshipped, but also, therefore, elephant is a symbol of intelligence, long memory, wisdom, and a kind of a friendliness that is rarely found between humans.
All right, at this point, I would like to thank you very much for being on the show, Sonal Mansingh ji. My final question to Saurabh Malhotra before I go for a break and continue the discussion with the other panelists is basically, Saurabh, what do you do now? What is it sensitizing the people enough, or these are issues of policy? How do we restore their habitat? And because we have blocked the known elephant corridors and so on.
So I think, Wasbir, it is definitely a major issue of policy and the implementation of policy. I think we have a lot of the right policies in place, but it just goes amiss in terms of implementation. I think a quick recipe for long-term conservation and for long-term safeguarding of elephant habitats is that we need to really identify where these vulnerable communities are. So the communities in Palakkad in Kerala are obviously vulnerable if they are having to resort to such measures to save their farms. We need to identify where these communities are.
But our communities, but if you look at the situation in the Numaligarh area of Upper Assam, or if you talk about Udalguri area where you live, I think the condition of the farmers are equally, challenging.
Yes, exactly. So I think what Bibabda mentioned about having immediate compensation, that is absolutely important to increase the tolerance of humans to animals. So you cannot expect humans to love animals if your livelihood is at stake. So that really is an immediate solution. And for the future, we need to figure out how elephants move, where they go, which are the communities in their paths, and do joint efforts cross-border, cross-nation to restore habitats along these paths and to rebuild ecological connectivity, for which governments have to come together from countries across.
Absolutely. I'd like to thank Saurabh Malhotra at this stage. I will go for a break. I request Zubin Garg to stay on for a while. I will be joined after this break by Mr. Ranjit Borthakur, the founder of Balipara Foundation, well-known business leader and the CEO of cricket franchisee, IPL franchisee, the Rajasthan Royals. And I will also be joined by Mr. Chittaranjan Pathak from Perth in Australia. He is the author of The Elephant Girl, a very interesting fact-fiction book. And of course, Dr. Bibhop Talukdar continues to stone. I'll go for a short break. Don't go away. I'll be right back. welcome back. I'd like to go straight to Mr. Chittaranjan Pathak, author of The Elephant Girl, joining me from Perth in Australia. He's an engineer, also a wildlife enthusiast. He was closely involved in conservation issues related to Deepor Bill, a wetland in the heart of Guwahati city. Chitta Pathak, welcome. Chitta Pathak, how did you react sitting in Australia when you heard of the ghastly attack on the wild elephant in Kerala?
That has been going on social media for quite some time, and whether you are in India or in Australia, and I think most of the people have seen what has happened. What actually strikes me is the immediate knee-jerk reaction which are coming from people, like when you see statements like, okay, Keralite, they are 100% literate, but zero on humanity. I think those things are, I would say, knee-jerk reaction to a problem which is bigger than the way it has been handled right now. And frankly speaking, yes, it has sparked a lot of people's anguish and a lot of anger from people. But as long as we don't take some long-term steps, there will be a lot of repetitions of this type of elephant deaths.
Okay, Chitta Pathak, hold on. Let me go to Mumbai, where I am joined by Mr. Ranjit Bhattacharya, well-known business leader, founder of the Balipara Foundation, a leading conservation group. Mr. Ranjit Bhattacharya, welcome. We are discussing the man-elephant conflict, taking a cue from what has happened in Kerala. I'm not going to ask you about your thoughts on what happened in Kerala, but how do we manage our issue in Assam? We have got in the northeast about 10,000 wild Asiatic elephants. Balipara Foundation is at the forefront of managing the wild elephant population and working for their interest. What are your immediate prescriptions? What do you think about the issue?
I don't think, hi Wasbir and hello everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for having me on the show. I think like the earlier speaker, Mr. Pathak, had rightly said, these are not short-term solutions. Meaning over a period of time, I'm saying elephants and great mammoths started much before. Even Hannibal had elephants in Italy, but all that is wiped out. So now when you come back straight to India and to Assam, you find that it's a complex situation of the balance between man and animals. It's not just about elephants. Elephants is a great symbol, and we actually love the elephant because we have a whole territory called Elephant Country. We have the only website called Asian Elephants in the Wild, and many people on this program, including Vibha, who I know for a long time and has supported us, and we've supported each other, is that there is no answer today that you can do today. We have to change our policies of bringing about a balance between habitat management and agriculture.
No.
What has happened, most people believe industrialization, is eating up agriculture and eating into the land of forests for agriculture. But I believe agriculture is eating into the land of forests. So it's a big, big issue. So we have to sit down and work a full program. Despite Project Elephant, despite all the other challenges, I don't think we've been able to do it. I think a lot of attempts have been made by government and NGOs, but I don't think we're successful.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Mr. Ranjit Bhattacharya. Bibhab, is there a need for government to refocus its strategy, or do you think a lot of NGOs working separately or independently must work together on issues as critical as the man-elephant conflict that we are? It's not a small thing because a lot of people are spending sleepless nights. Their farmland, croplands have been ravaged, and as one of the panelists had said, their basic livelihood is at stake. But at the same time, the elephants are also attacked because humans are straying into their habitat. So it's a huge problem.
Well, I think, elephant is already being declared as the national heritage animal. We also call them like Hathi Mera Sathi. But in true sense, because of the deforestation, we must realize that conflict between human and the elephant increased because of deforestation. So that issue has to be solved, or it has to be addressed. And if we see, the earlier, it was never like human-elephant conflict. It was basically human-wildlife, living in coexistence. So that's something I think we need to promote.
Okay.
And
Coexistence. Coexistence seems to be the key. I'm coming back to both Ranjit Bhattakur and Chitta Pathak. But before that, Zubin Garg, Zubin, what would you like to tell the government? Because at the end of the day, our lawmakers, our government can do a lot if they really want to push through ideas that can be implemented. Zubin.
Government should actually, they are always busy with the election purpose. So they should, beyond that, we are fighting against Corona. We are having a lot of problem last 3-4 months. Yes, they are doing some nice job. Some nice steps are taken against Corona. And the forest department, the wildlife department, they should come up and they should take initiatives for this kind of problems also. And recently we are troubled with that Jaipur rainforest for the coal mining, for the petroleum mining and all. Jaipur and also Dibru Soikhwa, they've polluted the whole lake there. So it shouldn't happen actually. There should be, the government should be more conscious.
Government should be more conscious, but
we are always with them. We are together.
Absolutely. And what would you like to tell the people? You have told what you want to say to the government, but what do you want to tell the people, Zubin?
People, the consciousness should grow more in the people, and actually we have to do a lot. We have a lot of work to do to bring this consciousness among the people, especially the artists, all the actors, filmmakers, all the singers. They should always come together, and we can fight a lot of hard things together.
Right. Now, Mr. Ranjit Bhattakur, unless the government brings issues like this into the top of their agenda and even make it an election issue, the political class, the political parties, unfortunately, they don't make it an election issue. Unless they do that, do you think these issues can be resolved?
No, I think, government is nothing but us. It is the people that actually have to make it an issue during election time, whether it's on a political agenda or not. If it's on a political agenda, it helps. Because finally, when there's a man-animal conflict, the votes are not given by the elephants. So fortunately or unfortunately, the only way forward is rewilding our lands to see that there is community conservation. And what we have been doing in Balipara Foundation is wanting to plant 10 million trees. Why 10 million, 100 million trees? We have already done 3 million, but it's not trees. It is a natural asset. It's not one type of tree. It's a whole habitat management process. And a lot of the NGOs are doing good work. So we need to restore all the habitats of the corridors. We are doing a big elephant monitoring program. And I think all NGOs, including Bibhav, Saranyak, have done a lot of studies on this, WWF. But now it is action time. And the action time is always possible, primarily because there is an elephant project. And Project Elephant is, in fact, already a project which we need to implement. Just like Project Tiger was successful, we, the people of Eastern Himalayas, should be doing it. Secondly, we must have no trans-border. There cannot be a border, political border for elephants. Na? What we are trying to say, this state, you cannot go, it's not a question of actually going, not being able to go.
Right.
Ubiquitous transportation must be allowed for elephants, and we should have joint forest management. It should be a localized issue.
Joint forest management. Joint forest management. I'll come back to you, Mr. Ranjit Bhattakur. Let me once again go to Chitta Pathak. Chittaranjan Pathak, your book, the Elephant Girl, may be half fact, half fiction, but you know Northeast India well, which is elephant country. The man-elephant conflict is only increasing. There is no sign of it ebbing in any way.
Yes, Wasbir. And on that, my take is that, frankly speaking, the population of elephants in Northeast India hasn't increased. And if you ask me, my father or maybe my grandfather, they never saw any wild elephant in Assam. But the thing is that now people are seeing wild elephants even on GS Road. And the thing is that it is not because of elephant, most of you would be knowing anyway, that it is not because of increase in elephants population. It is basically because of habitat fragmentation. So as long as we don't take some long-term steps to ensure the proper protection of whatever remaining reserve forest which we have right now under Assam Forest Department, this problem is going to get worse, because and ultimately who would be suffering would be the frontline forest guards who are acting, who are working day in and day out to save the elephants, save the people from depredation.
Chitta, Chittaranjan Pathak, let's have everybody on the screen. Chittaranjan Pathak, does the onus of preventing such horrific incidents from happening lie on the people or the government, in your view?
I think it is a collective responsibility, but there is a lot of things which government needs to do lot of misconceptions which are floating around right now, like elephant reserve. So we have this concept called elephant reserve, but nobody knows about the legal status or legal sanctity of those elephant reserves. So I think government needs to be transparent with what is the status of our proposed reserve forest, because right now we have around 150 proposed reserve forest in Assam. Now some of them have become degraded, some have been encroached. I think government needs to come up with a white paper on the status of all the proposed reserve forest, wildlife sanctuary reserve Assam, so that people know what is the actual status.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Mr. Ranjit Bhattakur, once again coming to you, this development versus conservation debate. Now, you said in your opening remarks that agriculture has also gone inside the forest, the habitat has been destroyed, the industries are also attacking the forest. Now what is going to happen? Is afforestation the solution, really? Because do you think the afforestation is, in any case, not a short-term plan? It has to be a long-term project.
See, we believe in a subject called naturenomics. And naturenomics is the interdependence between nature and economics. So we have done some papers and we are implementing it, the value of nature. Unless we get into ecosystem services, simple, like what is an ecosystem service? It's how much water you get, how much air you get, and how do you actually utilize it. So I think it's very important to understand we're not just growing forests or rewilding forests. We are rewilding the lands. What we are really trying to do is to say that the value of a forest is like a value of an industry. It's like in an industry, at the end of a year in a balance sheet, I have a depreciation figure. But actually in a forest, if I cut a tree, there's no depreciation. It's bought and sold, or the forest is just valued for the teak trees and then it's gone. No, there's a very big sort of issue around that. You see, there's a full study done. The cost a vulture contributes is valued at $40,000. Why? Because it does a cleanup of the job when people are dead. Or, for example, the bee is $15,000 a bee because it pollinates. So we are not got into the basic issues. We are not talking about the value chain of conservation. We are all talking about only forest management. We are talking about issues of, say, growing trees. We are saying that we need forest department. We have to lead the movement. We are the people, we are the forest, and we are the movement. I am not so dependent on government to do this. Of course, we don't want government not to support us. We want government to support us. We are appreciative. They've got enough work. Secondly, the government must put this on top of the agenda. Economics cannot be at the center. Ecology is at the center of the Northeast and Eastern Himalayas, of which periphery you benefit by economics, whether it be tourism, whether it be trees, medicine, food. So until we change the narrative to ecology at the center of government development and take economics out, we will never be able to do it. We will never compare Arunachal with Maharashtra.
Okay. Now, very quickly, I'm going to Jubin Garg. Very quickly, Bibhav Talukdar, what is the road ahead, your final comments? Because at the end of the day, it is the government, it is the people. People's voice matters, as Mr. Ranjit Bhattakur said. People have to make it an issue, which is not happening actually, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it has to be a...
I'm not, sorry, let me clarify. I'm not asking for an huge andolan. I'm not calling for a huge movement to disrupt things in the state. No, I'm not calling for that. But it's not becoming an issue it's not being made an issue by the people.
Well, because, largely, in the affected areas, people are the victims of this conflict. So that has to be addressed. Government has to govern in certain cases. Government has to decide based on the feedback that, people gives. And I think this problem's solution lies with only one species, that is the humans. So we have to act. we have to react in a manner that we can also live and we can let elephants and the nature live.
So coexistence is what you are talking about. Zubin Garg, what is your impression? Do you think that the government really has time or focus towards wildlife issues and environment? Are governments indulging in tokenism in your view? What is your impression? When I say government, I'm talking about the successive governments, of course.
Yeah, actually, that's a sadness of Indian democracy. I always say that, and I never believed in it, that they always, after elections, always collecting the votes. That's the main issue. That's why the problems occur. And I think they should be more socialist than becoming more politicalized. Then the things will change.
Your final word on the problem, Zubin Garg, your final comments on this issue.
Elephants are very important, one of the most important wildlife animals we have. And I would like to call our people from Assam, from Northeast, they should stand together and think about it and work for the elephants.
Right.
Especially.
Okay. Now, Chitta Pathak, elephants we all know are a part of life, are a way of life for people in Assam. In the past, people keeping elephants at home was seen as a status symbol. But still people are destroying the elephant habitat, forcing them to come out, stray, walk around in the streets, even in Guwahati. What's going on? Chitta Pathak.
I think it has to be also looked in conjunction with the overall increase in population which has taken place in a state like Assam. And the way I see it, if we could maintain some minimum connectivity of major elephant habitats, hopefully we would be able to, because see, elephant uses some corridors and we have encroached upon those corridors where which the elephants have been using for time immemorial.
Right.
Just to give you an example, the Dipperbill and Garbhanga Reserve Forest ecosystem.
I have another question for you, Chitta. What is the way forward, Chitta Ranjan Pathak? What is the way forward now?
I think on this, my take is, okay, if you can involve community, villagers, everyone, but the thing is that ultimately, as long as the elephant habitat doesn't get a legal status or legal protection,
I think that is an important point.
Elephants.
Yeah.
See, we have so much of reserve forests, but the thing is that reserve forests do not have. They were basically reserved for revenue collection. They were not reserved or protected for ecological purpose or for elephant protection. So as long as we don't increase the area of our
Chitta
reserve
Pathak,
forest.
yes. I think that these are important points which Chitta Pathak has also made. Mr. Ranjit Bhattakur, your final words. What is the way out? How do we reduce this problem and save the animal as well as the humans?
There's a short term and a long term. The short term, I think Mr. Pathak and Zubin and Mr. Talukdar have actually talked to. I'm saying in the long term, which is 3 to 5 years, you have to bring ecology as your development agenda, not economics as your development agenda. One.
Right.
You see the small example that Chitra Pathak gave just now. You see from Rani to Dipperbill, they've made warehouses. Now is the warehouse more important than this whole corridor? So I'm saying these are all serious matters which somebody has to listen. So there has to be a champion in governance, but it is a people's movement and therefore community is at the center of ecology and ecology is at the center of governance. That's my short point.
Absolutely. Final comments, 20 seconds to you, Bibhav.
Well, I think, the main decision makers, they need to, forget the ego and they also need to treat themselves as part of this ecosystem. I think then a lot of solutions can be achieved.
Forget ego, be part of the ecosystem and contribute to a solution. Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Sonal Mansingh, Zubin Garg, Saurabh Malhotra, Ranjit Bhattakur and Chittaranjan Pathak, and of course Dr. Bibhav Kumar Talukdar. Thank you very much indeed for participating in the program. This is an issue that needs the focus of both the people as well as the government, and only then can we find a solution to the man-elephant conflict, and both the jumbos as well as the humans have the right to survive, and in fact they have the equal right. On that, I end this edition of Northeast Tonight. Good night and goodbye.
Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons, and Pius Group of Institution, Guwahati.